What collection did you have as a child that would have been worth a fortune now had your parents not thrown it away? South African coin collection that my older sister threw away without consulting anyone. Edit, wow, it looks like this resonated with a lot people. Thanks for all your responses and for the silver from the kind person. Stay well everyone. To answer your questions thankfully, they were not Kruger Rands. My parents would have kept those safe. They were random old copper coins that had become rare because they were old. I was young and naive and had never thought to value them. They may not have been worth that much at the time, but they were valuable to me for sentimental reasons. They may have been worth a few hundred each by now. Who knows? My sister was into different things at the time, so I don't think she had any clue about coin collecting. It was very mean to throw out my stuff and I think she realized this later on, but I don't resent her for it because we all make mistakes. Edit 2, thanks for all the warnings and DMs about the Nigerian prince offer. You restored my faith in the goodness of people. I realized it was a scam-style post but played along for fun, sorry for causing concern. These scams are dangerous and are the cause of people losing their life savings, thanks for staying vigilant. I had the complete collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. I packed them into a box and put them away, then later when looking for them I couldn't find them. Asked my mother. Oh those, I threw them out. You weren't playing with them anymore. That's when you throw out the guest towels and fine china. You weren't using them. You never used them would be my case. Is it the same story everywhere? My mother has a showcase of fine china and other fine crockery, but I've never ever seen her use them in my 23 years of life. According to her, they're for guests. What guests? I'm 35 and I have some guest china. Not sure why to be honest. We used to have special cutlery for guests. I emptied the lot into the cutlery drawer. Not quite the same thing, but in 1997 I asked my parents to reinvest some money that was set aside for us by my grandfather, about $8,000 after tax, into Apple stock. They were correct to tell me no, but I never quite put the thought away. If they did and were smart enough that we kept it, not counting reinvested dividends, we'd have 349,127 shares today. At the current share price, $98,453,865. How my life could be different if my parents threw sanity to the wind and listened to their middle school age son about what he learned in class. Edit, to everyone commenting, I agree, I definitely would have sold some or all of it by now. Also, if you want to learn about investing, shout out to Personal Finance. Edit 2. Also, I'm aware now that Google apparently includes stock splits in price history, so $98 million is incorrect. I would still argue several $1 million is a pretty good return on $8,000. Edit 3. Phrasing. It will be fun to bring that up every reunion or whenever someone talks about money. Hey mom, hey dad. Remember when you literally refused to become rich? Lamau. Classic mom and dad. Classic Schmosby. Nearly all of the first 24 editions of virtually every Marvel series, from the Fantastic Four to Spider-Man, including the Amazing Tales in which he was introduced, to Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. Basically all of them. At a comic book store I was once looking at some collector's editions of those comics priced at about $1,500 to $2,400. I said to the clerk, man, I used to have all of these. The clerk, whom I'm sure was Matt Groening's model for Comic Book Man, without even looking up said in a bored voice, do you know how many times a day I hear that? Worst impression ever. Lol, this comic book store was on Hollywood Boulevard in the late 70s. Matt Groening was living in Hollywood at the time, drawing Life in Hell. I'm completely serious when I say I bet that guy was his model for the Simpsons character. He looked and spoke exactly like that. You're probably not wrong. This is from an article written in 2000, SimpsonsArchive.com. He was partially inspired by a clerk at Los Angeles' Amok bookstore who was sitting on the high stool, kind of lording over the store with that supercilious attitude and eating behind the counter a big styrofoam container full of fried clams with a lot of tartar sauce. Groening says, I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me and said, you know who you based that comic book guy on? It's that comic book guy right down the block. And I have to tell them, no, it's every comic book store guy in America. If it helps, the guys at nerd shops in England all look like that too. It is uncanny. There were 3 in my town growing up. One of them is the inspiration for the librarian in the Discworld books. My mom had a collection of signed Beatles records that she threw away after she converted to Christianity because played backwards they summon the devil or something. For years I was hoping to inherit it when I grew up. All I think it summoned was poverty. I met a lady who was a flight attendant on their first flight back to the UK from the US. They signed magazines for all the flight attendants. She had it appraised about 20 years ago and it was worth $10,000. I had to read your comment 5 times to work out why the first commercial flight from us to UK was so significant to have such a high value for the flight attendant's signature. My brother had a bunch of first edition Pokemon cards that he spent over a year collecting. Mom took them away for getting in trouble at school, and they were never seen again. I got a PSP for Christmas, about 3 years after I got in trouble for something stupid and my parents took it away, and then lost it. About 5 years later when we were moving out, I found it, it was on top of the tallest cupboard. Lots of original Star Wars toys. They wouldn't be nib, definitely used but still. Same man, now I'm gonna grow up and become a dumpster truck driver. They actually earn a good amount though, at least in us. Geez, after my mom died, my dad met this crazy, Jehovah's Witness bitch and one thing led to another. About a month before my high school graduation we got into a huge fight over something and she burned my collection of old D&D books and magic cards. Complete collections. Every first edition book in good condition signed by Gygax. Guess my brother knew him at some point. The real kicker? I rode the wave of the original Magic the Gathering launches back in the day, complete sets of the original series through, Homelands? All burnt to a crisp. Every once in a while when I want to be depressed about never being able to retire I look up the card values #X200B, edit, for the curious, this was almost 25 years ago, I don't even know if the crazy bitch was still alive honestly. My family are JWS2 and yep, they also had issues with stuff I owned. I really liked the Witch magazine and had a lot of them, my stepmother threw all of them because it was evil. I remember being invited to a birthday party to a classmate whose family was very religious. Don't remember what they were exactly, JW, Mormons? Church of Jesus Latter-day Saints or something? Anyway, she got a WITCH calendar from one of the girls, and the parents threw it in the fireplace and burned it in front of everyone. That memory still sticks with me, seeing her utter helplessness and grief as they burnt her birthday present in front of all her friends. Wouldn't have been Jehovah's Witnesses, they aren't allowed to celebrate birthday parties. Source, my first birthday was my 30th after getting out from that awful organization. Not any monetary value, but my dad got rid of my entire Lego collection when I was in the Navy. My sister is pregnant with her first child and mentioned she wished we still had my enormous Lego collection for him, her son. It may not have been worth a fortune but it meant something to us. Lego is the one thing people throw or give away and I don't get it. It's such a great toy for future grandchildren and doesn't break. Quite so. The Legos I played with as a child are still around. My son played with them when he is a kid. His toddler will soon be playing with them. I am really impressed with the production quality. You can't tell the 50-year-old Legos from the new ones. About 40 Indian arrowheads collected on my grandparents' farm for years by myself and my grandfather and full sets of baseball cards from 1969 to 1980. My mom decided to toss out all that junk when I moved out for military. I don't understand the instinct to do that. Put it in a box and shove it in a closet. That's where the stuff was, in a box, in a closet. Mom, God bless her, decided to turn my room into a guest room and thought that box was just junk. Cleaning out the room is perfectly reasonable, assuming it's junk is also reasonable, but not ducking asking you do double check it's in fact junk makes me fucking livid. My parents literally divorced over this. My mom threw away one too many things without asking and it was the last straw. One I remember was a ton of old magazines about wildlife that she found buried in a chest of drawers. Dad was away on a hunting trip, Mom gathers them all up caked in dust and throws them in the recycling. None of them had been touched in years. Dad gets back from his trip a week later, the first thing he does is make a beeline for that chest of drawers and starts rummaging around in it. Mom, what are you doing? Dad, I saw this rare snake on my hunting trip. There's a photo of one in those old magazines I had in here that I want to show. Night 199222019. Mom, you have got to be ducking kidding me.